Hello, and welcome to A Wave of Wellbeing presents Developing Discipline, the Power of Habits. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jason Freshwater, and I am here to share concepts and resources to help you move towards the best version of yourself. You can find me at Jason Freshwater or at A Wave of Wellbeing on Instagram or Facebook. Let's get into it today. This session will be roughly 25 to 30 minutes long. We'll look at defining what self-discipline is and what it looks like in our day-to-day lives. We'll talk about ways to develop discipline in the 4 areas: physical, mental, spiritual, and financial, before having a look at motivation, actions, and habits, and rounding out the session with a highest self visualization. If possible, please have a pen and paper ready so that you can take some notes throughout the session. Let's get into it. The definition of self-discipline is the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weaknesses. There are 3 influences on our emotions and actions: the head, the heart, and the gut. You may have heard the saying before of just trust your gut. And at times, these 3 compete for control over the decisions that we make and therefore the actions that we take. It's our duty to elevate our awareness of these influences so that we can master them and control the decisions that we make and the actions that we take from a place of awareness. We develop discipline by creating something to aim at that is clear, powerful, and meaningful. For example, becoming the best version of yourself. This perspective aligns us with our heart and our soul and pushes through the resistance that comes from the mind. We want to conquer the ego. It is the ego mind that knows our weaknesses and our insecurity and uses them against us to establish dominance and to take control over our actions and decisions. By having goals that are meaningful, a belief that we can achieve them, and add in a step-by-step plan, we gain the confidence that our actions are having a positive impact, and then we begin to build positive momentum. Once we start taking action, we look at the power of habit. And this was brought to my attention by this book here, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It's incredible. I highly recommend it. And with your pen and paper now, I just want to do a little activity here where we list 5 habits that you currently have in your life. List 3 ways that your mind tries to take control over your decision making. And lastly, have a look at how you can modify this list. How you can not quit your habits altogether, but modify them in a slightly more positive way. Feel free to pause the video, and if you'd like, you can come back to this activity. Push play when you're ready. As we now look into the 4 areas where we can develop discipline. And physically, there's 2 that come to mind. A strong body equals a strong mind. So making sure that we have an exercise program in place where we're either pushing ourselves in the cardiovascular way through either swimming or running or cycling, or through strength and conditioning by lifting weights, pushing the musculoskeletal system. Or the other way that we develop discipline is through our nutrition plan. And this is incredibly powerful. I feel our connection to food is so important, and the craving for high saturated fats and sugars are tempting are very tempting. So being on top of our food and sticking to a nutrition plan is an incredible way of developing discipline. And we do this multiple times a day. Developing discipline mentally. Now, these are two of my favorites, in particular, the cold exposure. And I'm a big advocate for having a cold shower every day. And the reason for that is because it's something that I don't necessarily want to do. But by doing it, I am taking back control over my mind, and I'm becoming the boss. I'm putting that little voice in my head that says it doesn't want to do things. I'm pushing that to the side, and I'm doing something that I know is good for me. And when I can do that, and to start off the day, it just sets me up for a day filled with discipline. It doesn't have to be long. Even starting off small and just ending your shower, your warm shower, with a little bit of cold, will begin to build this discipline muscle. And through time, as you get more resistance, as you get that resistance and you start to strengthen as a response to that, you start to develop this discipline, and you can go for colder and colder, longer and longer. Another way to develop discipline is making sure we're being efficient with our time management. Having a planner, setting out what our week's going to look like, what our month's going to look like, and then sticking to it. You can place in some accountability there by having an incentive for if your goals get achieved or not. But this is incredibly important because then as you reflect, you can see how well did I stick to my plan for that week ahead, or where did I fall down? And one thing that I found with myself was that my Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays were really productive, and my Thursdays and Fridays I started to wane a little bit and drop off. And that was fine. I just made the adjustment and made sure all my high priority tasks were scheduled earlier into the week so that I could get them done, and then acknowledge this tapering and accustom my weekly planner around that. But that would be the case. I wouldn't have that level of awareness if I did not have my planner that I could reflect upon. Next is looking at the spiritual element. And those close to me know that breath work is an incredibly important part of my life. Oxygenating the system, very, very valuable. But just taking the time to focus on self. I think meditation and stretching are all there. And it's a combination of acceptance of the present moment as it is, and also surrendering. Okay, surrendering to that uncomfortable feeling of stretching, or that uncomfortable feeling of silence, or that uncomfortable feeling of not breathing constantly. This little bit of challenge, we want to familiarize ourselves with it. And we can do that through breath work, through meditation, and through stretching. We're eliminating distractions. We're focusing on self and centering ourselves. So these three are incredibly valuable for building that connection to self and checking in and developing your discipline. And this is one that's so important in today's world, and that is having discipline financially. There are so many distractions around, and we are bombarded with people trying to sell us things, trying to get us to commit to things financially. And we need to make sure that these come from a place that benefit us and that are what we truly want to do, rather than being sold into someone else's plan or into what someone else wants. And whenever I talk about finances, I always mention how important it is to speak with a financial advisor, someone who is in the profession, who's accredited, who knows the ins and outs. It may seem like it's an extra expense, but the advice that they can give you will come back tenfold. They are incredible at what they do, and cannot recommend this highly enough. seek out a financial advisor, create that relationship. They will help you to plan and to have financial discipline. But some things on top of that, which they may be able to help you with, are tracking your finances, making sure that you are not spending more than you are making. And another one is to pay yourself first. And that's this idea of, as soon as you receive your paycheck, putting money away into your savings or into your investment account, and then spending what's left over, rather than spending what you have as you get it and saying, oh, I'll save what's left, because rarely we have little left over. And that's that lack of discipline creeping in again. And the last point there is setting investing goals, and a financial advisor can help you with that. So shifting the scales in your favor, continuing to do so. And you can see here, we have the self-discipline model on the right here, and that's surrounded by three things. That's kicking off with motivation, having a motivation of who we want to be, who we can be, and believing that. Then that's going to have an impact onto our actions. What actions align with that, how we can gravitate towards that best version of ourselves. And if we can remain consistent with those actions, they become habits. And this is when we really start to build momentum, positive momentum, and things start to shift into our favor. So here we're talking about the mind, the soul, and the body. Or we can look at the mind, the heart, and the gut, and which is in control. That's different for everyone. We want to discover and create our why. That's motivating enough to stimulate action, and then repeat it until it becomes a habit. By taking consistent action on the areas discussed above, we can build positive momentum and train your self-discipline like a muscle. Having a mastery-orientated view. Aim to be a master. Find your motivation. Take consistent action and build positive habits. Continue with these actions, developing your discipline until you get to a mastery level. And that's this idea of a non-negotiable. If your soul, if your heart says you're going to do something, you do it no matter what. Doesn't matter what the ego or what the mind is saying to you. You are all in. It is a non-negotiation. And that is when you have mastered, become a master of self and mastered the ego. And this does link, the next point also links back to this book, which I would love for you to read of. It can be a game changer for you. And that's this idea of neuroplasticity. And the research on that shows how the brain has the ability to change and that habits can be modified. And with this discovery comes the responsibility that we truly are the captains of our own fate. I'd like to change gears a little now and execute this highest self visualization technique. So get comfortable, bear with me. I'll ask you to close your eyes and follow along with me for the next minute or two as we close the eyes, and we're going to, from our perspective, through our eyes, imagine that we are in tune with, and we have become the highest version of ourselves. All the best characteristics that you can think of, that you are capable of, I want you to imagine now. And I want you to embody it. When you are the best version of yourself, what emotions do you feel? How does the best version of yourself respond to obstacles? What habits do you have as the best version of yourself? How does the best version of yourself begin their day? And now, just for 30 seconds or so, I want you to embody these emotions, these feelings. play out these actions and habits of your higher self and feel what they feel. And when you're ready to, just blinking the eyes open and try and maintain that frequency and try to keep that embodiment of that higher self at the front of your mind and continue and live out the thoughts that you had, the habits that they have, the way that they respond to difficult situations. And there we are. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram at A Wave of Wellbeing, at Jason Freshwater. I have some extra resources available on YouTube or at our website, which you can see there, wavewellbeing.card with 2 R's.co. All the best to you. Thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.